Well, hey, diet disruptors, Carrie here. And one of my favorite types of episodes, talking to clients. And the reason I love it so much is, well, I love to talk to clients. Let's just be honest. Like we're a family here, and that always makes me happy. Two, I said A. So B, I want to give people hope and inspiration, knowing that your story can change. Everybody has a story. And the reason why we call what we do a transformation is because it's like a caterpillar to a butterfly. There is like a transformation. The person is the same, your value is the same, but there's something different about you. And Alane is one of those people that we get to talk about this for you. So you can be inspired, you can have hope, you can realize that your story absolutely can change if you want it to, if you decide to. So Alane, hi.
Hi.
I'm so happy that you're here. Tell us where you are from in case there's people from that area listening.
Yeah, we're living in Austin, Texas right now.
Austin. I was
So,
just saying
yeah,
before we got on that I've been to Austin all of once, but loved it. And it's just such a booming place now. So
it really is. Great
yeah,
town, great people. It's fun.
very cool. So let's get into it because, you are currently, you've been working with us for just a little over 2 months.
Hmm.
And a lot of times people like to hear from people that have been, had their transformation and years later, they're still in it and they're still going strong. And I love that too. But your story being in the middle of what I call the honeymoon period, the
Right.
first 3 months of really learning and this journey of self-discovery, it's so cool to tap into where you are as you're like kind of halfway through this honeymoon period. And I call it the honeymoon because you said yes to yourself, you committed to yourself, you basically married yourself, and you're really getting to know yourself right now. So tell us a little bit about your story before, I mean, just a little over 2 months ago when you came to
Yeah,
us.
so a little over 2 months ago, I had just finished, one of those, 800 calorie, low
Hmm.
calorie shot kind of diets.
Yep.
Um, and had gained the weight back and thought, am I going to do that again? And that diet roller coaster.
And what is it that you wanted when you really think about it, when you go back and think about all of the things that you've tried? What did you want?
I always wanted, well, one to feel better, to feel healthy, to lose weight, to
Well, and let's
I,
like let's extrapolate that a
honestly,
little, right?
yeah,
To feel healthy and to lose weight, which is so interesting because when you think about what you know now and you think about 800 calories a day, and we don't even count calories. So one way or
right.
the other, like that's just a number, right? But like just to think the whole concept is around restriction and starvation, eat as little as you can. And now
Exactly.
knowing what you know about health, don't the two feel so disconnected?
They really do. Yeah. In fact, I would say that actually my goal was to lose weight
Right.
and be healthy instead of be healthy first.
And as a byproduct be able to lose weight. So let's go to
Exactly.
that thinking, right? Because why was it so important that you lose weight? Because when I talk to women, this is always what it is. I want to lose weight. I weigh this much. I want to lose weight. And then when we dig in, they're like, no, I want to be healthy. I'm like, well, why don't we ever say that first?
Right, right. Well, I had been for gosh, almost 30 years dealing with a lot of metabolic problems,
Mm-hmm.
Hashimoto's and prediabetes, and all these things that we get as we age, and we're not eating healthy, we're not nourishing our bodies, and I found, you'd go to the doctor and they'd say you really need to lose
Lose
weight,
weight.
less,
Yep.
exercise more, and so I was
Eat
doing that,
less,
but I was
exercise
just
more.
feeling, yeah, I was just feeling worse and worse and worse and worse. And I would, not eat. I would exercise hard, and then I would spend 4 days in bed exhausted because I was malnourished.
Mm-hmm. And
And
you
I
know
was
that
really,
now, right?
yeah,
But did
yeah.
you really
And
know that before?
I did not know that
Yeah.
before. I was
Doesn't it seem so
thinking that I
obvious
was a
now?
failure and that my body was letting
No.
me down because
Mhm.
it wasn't responding the way I thought that it should.
Mhm. Isn't
Um,
that and doesn't
yeah.
it seem like in just a couple of months, like just knowing different on that, how does that kind of change the way you think about
So,
yourself?
so freeing. I can't, I can't even find the words about it. All I know is that one day when I was contemplating, because that first month you do a lot of training on what your body does and what it needs and how it's working behind the scenes to keep you alive.
Mm.
And I had spent so much time mad at my body because it wasn't responding the way I wanted it to. I really felt like it let me down. There's a long story behind that. We can go into it if you want, but
Mm-hmm.
it let me down. I had a lot of miscarriages. I had a lot of loss. I had a lot of near-death experiences. And I felt that that was my body letting me down. But as I
Mm.
was sitting there doing my morning time one day, I like literally started crying because I realized how hard my body was working to actually keep me alive.
Oh, I just have chills because I always say your body's been trying to be your best friend this whole
It
time. It
has.
keeps showing up for you. It keeps showing up for you. And unknowingly, we keep pushing it away. You're not good enough. You're not good enough. No, do better, do better. And it's no wonder we feel the way we do, but gosh, it just wants that relationship with you.
Exactly. So, and as
Mm,
soon as that happened, I mean, I told my coach, I even, video timed you about it because
yep.
that was so amazing to me for me to finally like have all that clouded behaviors and thoughts gone, just like whisked away, and realize that my body's working so hard to keep me alive. And now instead of being mad at it, I want to help it.
Oh,
I
and
want
so
to
what
give
you
it
just
what it needs.
you really tapped into instead of having all those clouded beliefs and thoughts, right? I say all the time, our thoughts and our beliefs dictate our actions. So if you
Exactly.
believe your body's broken, if you believe your body isn't working with you, if you're mad at your body and you have those thoughts and those feelings, then you're only going to then do things that are related to those thoughts and feelings. You can't do anything that you don't think about or believe in all
Exactly.
reality. And
Exactly.
so as a result, you were punishing your body.
Very, yeah, harshly, very harshly.
Mhm, mhm.
Like with deprivation, and I mean my hair started falling out. That's one of the reasons that I was scrolling Instagram looking for solutions because I thought I don't want to do this HCG again and have my muscles deplete myself and my hair's falling out and I just am tired all the time. I need something different. I need
Mhm,
something new. And when
mhm.
I saw I saw your ad about, do you love carbs when you're sitting on your kitchen counter?
Yeah,
And I'm
my
like, well, yeah, I kind of do. And so
I
I
do
listened
love
to
carbs.
and I listened to your webinar, and I knew that I needed to get my blood sugar in balance. I knew that my gut was imbalanced as well. And then the more I dug in and the more I realized how much mindset work you do and how much self-value self you do, work you do. Being a coach myself, I understand the importance of that.
Mhm.
I mean, I can do any diet. Any of us can do any diet. We all
You've
have that
proven it.
experience, right? Right. But they didn't do for me. And
Mhm.
so adding
Yes.
that mindset piece and the self-value and even the time management, that's everything that every other program you ever do is missing because it doesn't teach you how to be this new person that you want to be,
It's
or
that
really your
identity.
true self that you want
Yeah,
to be.
exactly. And so many times we think like, like I always say we have to manage time, so time doesn't manage us because how are you going to integrate a different lifestyle if you're not intentional about your time? I joke around. There's this meme that I saw on Instagram that said something like, um, I keep saying next week things will get calmed down. Next week things will calm down, and I like, I basically I'm just going to do that until I die.
Right. Yeah. I saw one to that same effect and it said, and I've been saying that for 10 years.
Exactly, exactly. So, what made you actually believe us enough to say yes to us? Because I think that's a really hard, like, that's just I think that's the hardest part is trusting. I think it's just like,
Mhm.
it's why I talk about this like a marriage. I mean, it's literally saying yes and walking down the aisle with no real guarantee that this is going to be forever, but there's enough to make you feel like, yeah, like this is what I need to do. So what was that for you?
Well, I think
Who did you talk to
beforehand,
when you first?
I talked to Karen Lynn.
Oh, we love Karen Lynn. Her
Yes, she's
story is
wonderful.
amazing.
Yeah, and she has a similar story to
Yeah,
mine
she's
about
so
her big.
authentic. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so, I really what drove me to attend in fact, I didn't even watch the webinar. I was like, right, it was the day after. I didn't watch it live
Oh, okay.
because
So you
I
watched the
thought, oh,
replay.
am I just getting into another thing,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And then I got an email from you that said, everything okay? Really hope you'll watch the webinar. And I thought, okay, what's the harm in watching the webinar? But what was the tipping point for me is I saw a future for myself that was not what I wanted it to be. I
Mm-hmm.
saw it being, laying on the couch, exhausted all the time, not even being able to like do the dishes because just the thought of doing the dishes seemed too hard to me. And I was
Wow.
really tired of living that way. I was
Mm-hmm.
tired of just existing and being in that rut of maybe tomorrow it'll get better. And it
Mm-hmm.
didn't because I never changed anything.
Mm-hmm. I would say if you want something different, you gotta do something different.
Exactly. And that's actually what that phrase is what caught me. And I thought, "Ooh, is this something different?" And
Wow.
then talking to Karen Lynn, and she talks about how much, yes, it's about food and it's about nutrition management, but there's so much more.
It's
And it's
it's
about,
more than nutrition, right?
it really is. It's about a whole lifestyle.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And and when I heard that, that's when I said, yeah, it's worth it. It's worth
Mm-hmm.
it.
Yeah.
In fact,
And
I didn't even talk to my husband about it. I just did it. Usually when we have this agreement that when we spend more than a certain amount, we
yeah.
usually talk to each other and I'm like, "Nope, I'm not even waiting. I'm doing this because I want I want something different. So I have to do something different."
Mm-hmm.
And I just loved everything about, lifetime access
Mm-hmm.
and the the plans and again the mindset and
Yeah.
the time everything was just so different than anything I had ever learned. I was
I
like, I
love
have to
that.
do this for myself if I want a different future.
Yeah. And so really truly that's like I love that you wanted to do this for you. So let's dig into that a little bit. Like, really, what was your why? That's one of the first things you have to start to explore. And when you did your initial call with Karen Lynn, we start the process of you really thinking deeply. So when we first started talking, right? What
Hmm.
was your why? You wanted to, if you were really honest with yourself, weight loss and health, but weight loss always came first. And
Right.
as you started talking to Karen Lynn and learning a little bit more about what we did, where were you with your why? Like, how did it evolve?
So it evolved into weight loss isn't even in there anymore because it's about living a healthy, vibrant life, being able to do the activities and hobbies that I want to do, and not being that sick couch potato
Hmm.
that I saw myself becoming.
And I want to clarify because I think I've had people tell me, I know you don't care about weight loss, or I know that's not important. I'm like, it is important. It's one of the things, just like we don't say necessarily I want my cholesterol to go down. Like that's the one thing, right? But that's a
Right.
byproduct of living a lifestyle that's going
That's
to serve
healthy
you,
and
right? And
nutritious.
that's how
Yeah.
I feel about weight loss. I want your cholesterol to go down. I want your A1C to go down. I want your weight to go down. I want all of those things, but one is not necessarily more important than the other, and one does not necessarily happen faster than the other. It's
Right.
the way that your body, we don't, we talk about the ice cube from James Clear in the
Hmm.
cold room. And I don't know how fast your ice cube's going to melt, but if that becomes your whole focus, the ice cube melting, the ice cube melting, the ice cube melting, you lose so much of yourself in the process of self discovery. Would you agree?
Right. Yeah, for sure. Um, and it blew my mind when you talked about weight loss being no, weight gain being a symptom
Symptom.
of another problem. And
Hmm.
so when I say that weight loss isn't my goal, it's that the number isn't a
Yeah.
goal,
Yeah.
right? I want to
Because you can't
have
control that
health.
number.
You can't control that
You can only
number.
control what you do, but you
Exactly.
can't control the number.
Exactly.
I love
Exactly.
that.
So, yeah, so there's no reason to measure by that number if that's not what my goal is
Ah,
anymore. right?
How different are you sounding right now? I feel like you wouldn't even recognize yourself if you
I
heard
don't think I
this
would. I
three
don't
months
think I
ago.
would. Yeah, because I used to be a scale twice a day kind of person.
Really?
Yeah, twice a day,
How
in the
much
morning
did
and
the
at night.
scale change from from the morning to the night?
I mean, at night I'm 3 pounds heavier. In the morning you
Isn't
know,
that crazy? How like that's
yeah.
not, and was that
And
you were
it's
literally your hair was falling out and you could barely like get up to do the dishes, but if I was a certain weight, that was enough.
then yes, then everything will be better. And
Oh,
it wasn't because I did reach a low weight on that for a while. But then as soon as you go off of it, you gain everything back because you're not doing the things that serve your body.
well, and a healthy body, just like a healthy relationship, should be able to handle the ups and downs, the little bits of
Exactly.
arguments, the times that you're not serving it as much as you could be, the times that you're serving your soul. Your body's like, oh, don't worry, we got you. But
Exactly.
instead, your body was like, oh, here she goes again. She's hitting us while we're down,
Right.
right?
Yeah, for
And now
sure.
you're trying to get back up, but you're bruised and battered, and no wonder like you can barely stand up because like it's off its kilter, and you keep
For
knocking it
sure.
off kilter.
For sure.
So once it gets healed and starts like getting stronger, you can be like, hey, getting a little argument with yourself, and
Not a problem.
it's
Bounce
no
back
big deal.
quick. So that's
So,
what's been amazing is that energy change as well.
mm,
I don't have to sit down as much. I'm not doing the things that numb your mind, like, scrolling the internet,
scrolling.
watching TV all the time and all of that. I'm busy. I want to do things. And it's
That's
such a change.
That's why when I say, and this phrase couldn't be more true for you, love your body, live your purpose.
Purpose. Yeah.
And you were so busy hating your body and you were literally existing. But now
Yeah,
that you've learned how to love your body so it can love you truly back the way it was designed, now you get to actually do things that matter.
exactly. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what does a day look like? And this is why I love having you on right now, because 2 months ago you could not have told this story.
Mm-mm, not at
That's
all.
amazing. So what does life look like for you now, compared to what it was like 2.5 months ago?
Um, a lot more intentional, a lot more planning, a lot more in control. I feel like I'm in control of my choices, that my
Wow.
circumstances aren't controlling me.
Mm.
We've done, even during the trifecta, I've done some travel,
Hmm.
and even that was very different. So, like when I traveled, it was free for all.
Yeah,
You
because you're
do
off a
whatever you
plan
want.
or you're on a plan. Yeah, that's not a
Exactly,
lifestyle. You can't
exactly.
do it when you're traveling.
Exactly. So I went home to see family, and I'm like, okay, on the way home from the airport, we're stopping at Trader Joe's. And I just picked up the easy meals that I could grab that I knew I needed for my energy and for my sustenance and to serve my body. And my mom at first is like, what plan are you on now? I'm like, I'm not
Yeah.
on a plan, Mom. I'm serving my body. I'm giving myself nutrition. And then I used to never exercise when I would go visit family. And
Hmm.
I decided, you know what? I can probably do that 3 days in a week on vacation. That's not a lot, right? It's not every
Wow.
day, but it's more than I used to. So 3 days, one day I swam, 2 days I walked, I hiked. It was fun. So much different because I used to go and just be a couch potato there instead of be a couch potato at my house.
Wow. And how inspiring could that be for the people that you're with? I mean, what did they notice that
Oh,
week?
they noticed my energy, they noticed my attitude. Um, I thought that they would, kind of give me a bad time if I declined wine or whatever. And they didn't. They're like, glad you're taking care of you, so they were
Wow.
very supportive and
And I love that because it's like, I say this all the time, I'll never tell you what you can or can't have. I'm going to educate you and I want you to make the choices for you. And so if you
mhm,
had decided to have wine, if you decided to have cake, all of that gets to be your choice based on what you say you want versus what someone else, a nutritionist or the TikTok or anything, or your
exactly.
friend is
The
saying, you got
plan.
to do this,
Yeah.
right?
And I think that that's what you mean by food freedom. I think people hear food freedom and they think I can eat whatever I
Whatever
want,
I
whatever
want,
I
whatever.
want,
Yeah.
whatever. But food freedom is really that food isn't controlling you.
Hmm.
You're choosing what you want depending upon where you are, whether you're feeding your body, feeding your soul, whatever. I
Yes.
did have wine on my trip, but I didn't have it every night, and I didn't have 3 glasses every night,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
Well, and it really is like this whole idea of, I mean, I want you to understand and learn the discipline of declining. Like,
Mhm.
how do you say no if you
Right.
really want to? Because how often do we not say no because we don't know how? Then we feel guilty afterwards, as opposed to knowing how to say no, making a decision for no or yes, and then having no guilt afterwards.
And that's freeing. That no guilt is so freeing because you're like, I chose to do this, and in
Hmm.
3 hours, I'll choose something different.
Yes, exactly. And
Um,
the idea of eating every 3 hours sometimes can be intimidating for people and actually feel like on the surface that's actually harder to do now. And I'm not a person that's like, you must eat blah 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 blah. I want your body to tell you that it's hungry. Is that what's
right.
happening, and how hard is it for
So,
you to eat every three
yes, and
hours
that's so different because when you're in that dieting mindset, hunger is bad, right? You're like, gotta
Yes.
push it off, gotta ignore it, gotta push through it. If I've had all my calories today, I can't
Yeah.
do anything about it till tomorrow.
Yes.
But when all of that has been cleared and all of that, my mind is loving my body instead of
Mhm.
being mad at it, I'm hearing its signals.
Isn't that
And I am
amazing?
getting hungry every 3 hours. And the first couple of times it happened, I'm like, oh, I better put it off. And then I'm like, oh, wait, no, it's been about 3.5 hours. I should have a little meal.
Wow.
So
Isn't
life
that incredible?
changing that
Ah.
my family's doing it too.
Oh, so say more about that.
Yeah. So, I mean, my husband's super supportive about what I do, but I would tell him every day that what I was learning and the importance of PFC and that balance of the protein, fat, and carbs.
Hmm.
And so he was like, I really need to do something about my health too. I'm not liking how it's going. And he was a grazer. He would graze and snack
Yeah.
all day, but it would
Yeah.
be chips and cookies and the
Hmm.
stuff, that your body's craving because it's not balanced.
Hmm.
And so one day he was having a yogurt, and I'm like, "Hey, babe, if you have some turkey with that, it'll really balance
Balance it.
everything out
Yeah.
with you because then you can get your protein, fat, and carbs because it was a sugar,
Yep.
um,
Like
a
higher
sugar,
sugar yogurt.
yeah,
Yep.
higher sugar yogurt." And so he started trying it, and then I started noticing him asking, "So, if I have this, what should I have with it to make it complete?"
Hmm.
And so I
Isn't that
printed out the
amazing?
cards for him so that he could have
Yeah.
little quick grab and goes
I
too.
love the cards. And
Yeah,
that's what's so amazing to me is education. Nobody can take that away. But this is why for us, it is very much around, if you're not ready, we're not ready for you. You
exactly.
have to be ready. And like, you couldn't just tell your husband, hey, this is what you're doing now. It was like this authentic desire to start to learn. And I think that's when real change can happen, as opposed
Exactly.
to being told this is what we're doing now. I
Right.
love that you made the decision on your own. I mean, that takes a lot of confidence to be. We do that with our kids, right? Like, it's so
Yeah.
funny. The orthodontist is like, our kid needs braces. And you're like, okay. It's not like you have a family discussion. Sometimes you're just like,
Right.
okay, the kid needs braces. We got to just make it work. But so often as women, we just think, I need permission from other people. I get the respect between a husband and wife, no doubt. But a lot of times we wouldn't even ask our spouse about certain things with our kids. If they needed it, you would just do it.
That's
And then
true.
you would tell them. But why
Yeah.
is it that we feel like we aren't valuable enough to do? So I'm really proud of you for doing that. And it really goes along with confidence. So that day that you said yes, I say all the time, confidence does not come because you've reached a goal. Confidence comes when you know what you're doing is right. And I feel like that day when you said yes to yourself, you hadn't met a goal yet. Goodness, you hadn't even started, but you knew what you were doing is right. And that gave you the confidence to say yes without having to ask for permission.
Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing. And yeah, mind blowing. So I actually chose the hat today when to talk to you that says mindset matters. And as you have gone through this, and now you're about journeying into month 3 right now, which is really truly where this whole thing is a journey of self-discovery. And I love how much you've discovered about yourself, but you
Mm.
become even the blueprint for the healthiest, What does the healthiest Alane do, say, think, and believe is really going to come alive during this month? Oh, look at you got the
I have it written
paper
out.
there.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the mindset shifts that you've really noticed about yourself and why they matter so much.
Um, wow, where do you even start? The biggest one is the loving me part
Mm,
and appreciating all that my body has done, keeping me alive through all of that stress and all of that punishment that I would
mm-hmm,
give it. But it's evolved into like this best version of me exercise we did the other day,
mm-hmm,
how I think differently. I think I can do this, that
mm-hmm,
this is who I am now,
mm-hmm.
that
I
I'm
love
in
that because I always
control.
say this isn't about what you do, it's about who you are.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love that.
Yeah, I'm in control of my choices.
Mm,
I am valued and loved by myself, first of all, and others. And
mm,
that's a big thing for me to be able to say that I am loved by myself. That in month two, when you do the letter to yourself,
mm-hmm.
it's really hard for me.
Was
At first,
it
it took me like 3 days of just
really?
thinking and doing to, yeah, to just tell myself that I was valuable enough to continue to make these daily positive choices for myself.
Wow. Isn't that enthralling for you to admit and to be vulnerable? Brene Brown talks about vulnerability all the time, right? And to be vulnerable enough to know, like, and to recognize, I really don't know, if I deserve to have this attention on me or to define my value. But gosh, we were all here put on this earth for a reason, every
You are,
single one of us. And we
yeah,
have to recognize that. And so, isn't it amazing how we can go through our whole life? How old are you?
56.
I love it. 56 years, not really being as aware around what we're talking about right now as you could be, and how
Right.
much more you're going to be able to do with this life, this one precious life in the life container of your body that you're going to be
Hmm.
able to do because of it. So keep going. So, you
Okay,
know,
so another mindset is how I forget what day, what lesson it was, but you talk about the difference between long-term goals and short-term goals,
hmm hmm
and that the long-term goal and that why is important, but it's the daily actions
hmm
that get you to that. But you can't
hmm
think about the long term every minute because it's so far away. Use the analogy of the cake.
yeah.
It's so far away that today doesn't matter.
hmm
But there was something, a mindset shift in there for me that yes, today does matter.
hmm
And I want to make the best choices for myself today because today is what I'm living.
Yes.
And it used to be, well, it was so far off, it doesn't matter today, or it's so close, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. And that's like such a racket in and of itself because it justifies every racket is this like belief in this scheme, this, I call it like a money making scheme
Yeah.
that convinces us like, my daughter and the fake ID that she has, the guy who's had a racket, right? And we know he's getting caught, but the short
Right.
term payoff of this like racket that he has going on in the college dorms is that he's making money. And so this racket that you had a long term consequence, but you don't even think about that in the moment. You have a short-term payoff, and for you, my guess is it was justification. your
Hmm.
your payoff was I can eat the cake, I can not exercise, I can stay on the couch, I can keep scrolling because
I
my
feel this
racket has told
in
me it's
control.
fine.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
So, I mean, even just this week, so we're leaving for a big trip to the United Kingdom in a couple weeks.
Ooh.
I know, I'm very excited. And I was walking the other day and I'm like, I really need to like up my stamina for walking to
Mm-hmm.
be able to survive this trip without having a Hashimoto's
Yeah.
flare.
Yeah.
So old mindset, old me, and I recognized this as I was thinking about, gosh, this trip is 2 weeks away. Old me would have said, well, it's 2 weeks away. You're not going to make any progress in 2 weeks. So you might
Mm.
as well just do whatever you're still doing and not worry about it and just deal with it then. So that was the old racket, right? It doesn't matter
Yep.
because it's too close. Might as well eat the
Yep.
cake.
Yep.
But I mean, again, the mindset change was, well, gosh, 2 weeks, that's 14 days. I can walk 2 miles a day. Even if it makes me tired, I can do a mile in the morning and a mile in the evening. I don't have to stop altogether.
I love
And
that.
that's a change for
Yep.
me.
Yep. Yep. This journey, it never ends. You're going to constantly be reevaluating and reassessing, but the fact that you're thinking differently now, I always say you have to be willing to learn, which you have been, but to unlearn, which is a
Yes,
massive piece of a massive factor in success, because just because you learned it one way or you did it one way or you believed it one way doesn't necessarily mean it's serving you and it needs to continue. And
that's
you've been
true.
willing to unlearn, and then you've also been willing to be coachable. So talk a
Yeah.
little bit about how your coach has helped you, because not only your coach, but you're being coachable in terms of being open and have a growth mindset with the lessons and with the learning, but also having a coach allows you to see the game from a different point of view. Would you agree?
Yes, for sure. And having a coach kind of keeps you in it every day,
Mhm.
right? Because there's always a question to answer and there's always
Mhm.
engagement. And um,
That's why this is a journey of self-discovery, but it can't just be self-guided.
it can't because you need somebody on the outside to help you see your rackets, to
Mhm.
help you see when you're making excuses or to help you see when you're putting something off.
Mhm.
And so that coaching aspect of it is so valuable.
Or even
Um,
to troubleshoot, right? Because your body's
yeah,
going to
yeah,
react in different ways that, how are you going to know exactly, right?
exactly.
Somebody that's
Yeah,
coached hundreds and hundreds of people can help give you, and has the science and the knowledge behind it, can help give you also insight into what's happening with your body that you might not be able to recognize yourself.
right. And she's also giving me a place to celebrate my wins.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes. And that has to be more than because I weigh a certain number on a scale 7 months from now, right?
yeah,
It's got to be
yeah.
daily. Like I want to see success in everybody every day, one way, shape, or form. How did I show up today?
Right, exactly. And that's where the morning time journal and the evening review so
Hmm.
valuable for that because it does keep you in touch with how did I show up or
Hmm.
how can I do better tomorrow if
Yeah.
I decided not to show up today.
And that's where the no guilt, just data comes in, because I feel like even that's a success to recognize why I didn't show up for myself.
Mm-hmm,
You
mm-hmm.
know? So
Yeah.
what are you looking forward to the most as you move into month 3?
Um,
Or do you even know? It's so funny because I bet you didn't even know what you didn't know. But
yeah, I don't. I mean, I had done some Enneagram study before,
hmm.
but I'm looking forward to tying that into the nutrition and the
Hmm.
lifestyle and the time management and just kind of making it a whole sustainable lifestyle. And
Yeah.
it's so valuable to see how you were created
Hmm.
and how how you're reacting is not good or bad. It's how you are. And so
Yeah.
you
And
learn
honoring
to,
that.
yeah, honoring that. That's
When
exactly
my
right.
own daughter went through month 3, she said to me one day, we were talking about it. We went out for sushi and we were talking about it. She goes, "You mean there's nothing wrong with me?" I'm like, girlfriend, there's never been anything wrong with you. And I think as a parent, so often we are disciplining and doing the things we're supposed to do, but how often do we not even realize that either our own personalities, our own rackets, our own issues actually have been impacting them? And then they have these beliefs about themselves that's not empowering. And
Right.
so that was a huge wake up call when I was like, you really have thought for all these years that there's just something wrong with you at,
Yeah.
15 years old at the time. And that was
Yeah.
like very eye-opening. So my kind of next question for you though is then, oh, and also coming up in month 3 is even more around time management and
Yes.
really getting into that. So I'm so excited about that. It's like my favorite thing. But I always ask this question of people in terms of who else benefits if you figure this out. So we already know that your husband has started to tap in, which means amazing things, I just think, for you as an influencer to your family.
Hmm.
But who has already benefited and who else will benefit?
Well, of course, I get the biggest benefit because my life has completely changed for the better. My family, but also my extended family. You know, I had a
Mhm.
lot of conversations with my sister about feeding your body well and the nutrition that you give your body and the importance of balance. My niece too had a nice conversation with her the other day, and she's 26, and she and I are
Oh,
really close.
wow. Can you
Yeah, and
imagine knowing this stuff when you were 26?
it would
Oh,
have changed my life, yeah,
mhm.
forever. So
Yeah. I love
yeah,
that. I love that. I think there's so much more. I mean, just even doing this podcast means you're influencing other people to be able to help them see what's possible. Could you imagine that you'd be doing a podcast a couple months after saying yes because everything's changed so much in your life?
yeah, not about this topic for sure.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was always a source of shame and
Mhm.
guilt and beratement for me.
Ah, I'm so proud of you. And at the end of the day, this was on you. The onus is on you. So often I talk about medicine 2.0, where we have these problems, we have these issues, and we go to the diet or we go to our doctor and we get medication, and then that didn't work, and the medication doesn't work. And really, at the end of the day, it's about us understanding how to fly our own plane, knowing how to write your own flight manual. So no matter what turbulence you have, you can stay in the cockpit and you can land that plane where you want to land it. And nobody else is going to be able to do that for you. And
Exactly.
I'm
Yeah.
just so proud of you because you got in the cockpit and you took the lessons. You're taking the lessons. You're doing the work. It's like you're picking up the bowling ball and you're bowling. All I did was put the gutters in there, but that's not going to help you get a strike. It's you figuring out how to bowl. So I'm
Yeah,
so
for
proud
sure.
of you.
Thank you. I am
Congratulations.
too. I am too.
Oh, good. I'm so glad. So, everything that you're saying, I think is inspiring. I think it's important. If you had to, it's like I always joke, if you had to have a Twitter feed, which was now called X, right? And
Right.
you had to like really think through if somebody said to you, "What are you doing?" Right? How would you describe it in a way that you feel like could like sort of give the changes that you've experienced justice?
In 140 characters,
Yeah, and
that's
140 characters,
because I
give
have
or
a whole
take.
notebook of stuff, Carrie.
Yeah, exactly. Give or take.
Um, what am I doing? I am paying attention to what my body needs, fueling it for health and energy so I can do the things that I want to do as I age.
I mean, I think that's perfect. I think that was literally like 140 characters. I
Counting it.
Oh my gosh. That was amazing. Thank you. If you're listening, please put in the comments what you're taking away from this, what inspiration you're taking away from this. If you're listening to this on our podcast, please hit subscribe so you can make sure that you continue to get stories of inspiration as well as skills and strategies all about how to live with food freedom. Alane, you're the best. Thanks.
Thank you.